Two more to go. There's a joint for C2, command key C2, apply, joint, surface, apply. So theoretically, if I go down to the root joint, which in this case is L5, and rotate it, the entire column should go, and it is moving. Alright, so now we have all our joints attached to our, or bound to our surfaces. And probably the best way to actually say that is the surfaces are bound there. Now the next thing we want to do is get the a curve that matches the curve of the spine. So what I'm going to do is bring a in this side view, or lateral view if you will, I'm going to go to image plane, import an image, and I have a ping file already here. It's facing the wrong way, and it's not scaled correctly, so I'm going to roughly scale it, and then I'm going to move it over a little bit and rotate it. Let me close the bind. We're not going to bind this for a while. And let's put the channel box on. So as I rotate it, turn it around this way, you can see that I'm rotating in the y-axis here. So I'm going to just change that to -90 for right now. Okay. And one thing I found about the image plane, I can't freeze the transformations. I can't get it to reset. It stays at these values, so we'll leave it there. And to make my life easier, just in case for some reason it moves, I'll change that to -265. Okay, I'm also going to go back in while it's selected and take the alpha gain down to 0.3 so that I can see it. And these numbers, which were helpful earlier, are a pain right now. So I'm going to go into the grid and go down to the section where the rulers are and hide the orthographic and the perspective numbers right now. Okay, so I'm also, you know what, one more thing I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the amount of subdivisions back to 2. So I don't need that many. It's again just kind of annoying. Okay, so the key here is now I want to get use this as much as possible. Now one thing I could do just to check things out, I'm not sure you can see it, but see there's the number T8. So if I go here and I say 12, 11, 10, 9, this is T8, so I'm pretty close. So let's take this down, T8, and bring it over. And let's look a little bit at how big T8 is to T8. And maybe we'll take the X-ray off for a second. And you can see that even if I rotate my image plane a little bit, you can see that the image plane is a little bigger. So I'm going to scale this down to get the T8 sizes to be closer, and that's pretty close. Okay, now I got to figure out which one of those things that I rotate. I think it was the Y, so I put that back to 0. Oops, that's not right. Let's see. Yeah, it was the Y, but it has to go back to -90. Okay, and then we set that translate. Really, it doesn't matter, but I think we set it to -265. Whoops, is that right? Yep, there we go. Alright, so now what I want to do is basically lock this so I don't have any inadvertent movement. So I again use that icon here in the display layers. It says create a new layer and assign selected objects. I click on the diagonal, give it a name. Templated, I can't see it, but if I put on R for reference, I can see it, but I can't accidentally pick it up. Okay, and so I know it's still a little hard for you to see. Maybe let me just make it a little bit brighter so you can see it. Okay. All right, and what I'm going to do is grab a create CV curve tool. Now CVs, central vertices, very much like an illustrator. Put 1, 2, that yellow line between the 2 points is called a hull. So when I make a third line, I get another hull. And when I click again, now I get the curve. So the curve is mathematically calculated between these points. And I want to, just like I would in Illustrator, minimize how many curves I need, or how many points I need to basically match this curve. And that's about enough. And I'll look at the control vertex. I probably don't need 2 right so close to one another. And I'll move them around. And you'll notice how that will help me control how well that curve matches the front. I'm using the anterior border of the vertebral column here as my guide. Okay, so now I've got this. So I've got this rigged collection over here, this bound collection, and I've got a curve. And the next lesson then, I'm going to show you how to take, one thing I'm going to do with that curve, I'm going to center its pivot. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to use that curve to drive this, the way these joints orientate themselves.